Welcome back to episode 2, season 2.
Season 2 of Rock and Roll Rabbit Hole. I'm Kevin Gibson.
And I'm Butch Bays.
And we're back, and we're happy to be back. And tonight we've got another great song we're going to dive into. And tell us the song, Butch.
Well, we're sticking in our wheelhouse, the 80s.
The 80s, yeah.
And this is one of the songs
a
of
classic.
the 80s. A classic.
A classic.
That we will never scrub brush out of our brains. We can never SOS pad it off of our...
Ever.
Ever. And it's
yeah.
Come On, Eileen.
Not enough Lysol in the world.
By Dexys Midnight Runners. Yeah.
So a classic hit that had a classic video. We'll talk about that and what it all meant to us and what it still means to us. Then we'll get into kind of the background of Kevin Rowland and his vision. And, you know, I'm looking forward to talking about the video and talking about the band and the background. And there's a rich history that most people don't know about.
I know it was like scratching the surface here. Like,
yeah.
I didn't know any of
most
this.
Most people they just know the video and the song, and that's it.
It's a deep well.
It's a deep well. And we're going to fall into it like it's almost like a rabbit hole.
And we'll mention it's a lot like a rabbit hole.
Oh,
and we're gonna kind of take on where it ranks as a one-hit wonder as well. So, but first we've got important business.
The opening ceremonies.
Oh.
We have a double. We're gonna have a sidecar tonight. We're doing a Fall City English style pale ale as our beer.
Yeah, which
if you're
that pairs nicely with this British single. Yeah.
And so, but also, I purchased a store picked bottle of Limestone Branch Distillery, which I visited 8 years ago before they had any bourbon products. So this is a rye. It's a store pick rye.
So what's a store pick for the?
A store pick is the local store that I go to a lot. Went there and tasted barrels and picked this. We want this one. We're going to bottle it with you. And so this is marked with their logo. So you can only get this at their store. This is in my neighborhood. I picked this up for cheap. I tasted it. It's amazing. It's a rye whiskey. It's 107 proof. No, I'm sorry. No, 94 proof. Sorry.
Okay, good.
I got it wrong.
I was getting nervous.
Yeah. So, but I interviewed. So the master distiller is Stephen Beam. I interviewed him 8 years ago. I just actually posted the interview again on my blog, KevinGibsonWriter.com. Go check it out, please. But Stephen is a really cool guy. I went there. He sat down with me at the grounds of the distillery. I got to taste the first ever white dog they had in a barrel. So it was like way before this was made. This is a 4-year, I believe. And so he was nice enough to sit down and spend some time with me. And he gave me a bottle of his moonshine, and he signed it. So I still have that bottle. It's about half gone now, but it's a jalapeno moonshine.
So the Beam name, big in Kentucky.
He is, yes.
Big in bourbon.
So the Beam and Dant families were very, very tight. And that's where the Beam brand, Jim Beam, which is the top selling bourbon in the world.
Right.
And so this guy he's a great, great grandson, and he has started his own distillery. And so we've got some product here, and we're going to have a little bit of this while we talk tonight.
Not sponsored. We used our own
American dollars. We are not sponsored. I bought this with my American dollars, and the Fall City came from Butch's American dollars because we work hard for the money. We work hard for it.
Hey, another 80s reference.
Funny?
I like it. Keeping with the theme. Also, this kind of pairs well with our topic tonight. A rye whiskey goes with the album title Too-rye-ay.
That's right. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right.
Oh, that. Wow.
Yeah. So I will put links to.
Wow.
I'll put links to both of these places in the show notes. And in fact, I'll go ahead and link my story in the show notes as well. So if you want to read about it,
that was a wonderful choice, I gotta say.
I'm getting to the point where I know my whiskey.
All right, now to the meat of the program, the tale of the tape.
Let's do it. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm so excited about the whiskey. I forgot to go.
All right, Come On Eileen is a song by English group Dexys Midnight Runners, credited to Dexys Midnight Runners and the Emerald Express, oddly enough. It was released in the United Kingdom in June of 1982 as a single from their album Too-rye-ay. It reached #1 in the United States and was their second #1 hit in the UK, believe it or not, following their 1980s hit Gino. And then the song was initially claimed to be written by Kevin Rowland, Jim Patterson, and Billy Adams, but it's more complex than that, I believe. Come On Eileen won Best British Single at the 1983 Brit Awards, and in 2015 the song was voted by the British public as the nation's 6th favorite 1980s #1 for a poll on ITV, which is bullcrap. Obviously the favorite. It was ranked number 18 on VH1's 100 Greatest Songs of the 80s. Bullcrap.
I'm turning to you first.
It was named as Britain's best-selling single of 1982. It went #1 in Australia, Down Under, Belgium, Ireland, of course. Did it have to go #1 there? New Zealand, makes sense. South Africa, Switzerland, the UK, and good old USA. And in the Canada, only #2.
Of course.
What is wrong with the Canada? And the tune knocked Michael Jackson's Billie Jean out of the #1 spot.
Which
perhaps
is crazy.
That's the biggest accomplishment this single ever.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's real.
It probably was at the end of its run, but still.
Yeah.
And we'll circle back to that as we get into this, because I think that there's significance in that.
Yeah. So there's the tale of the tape. Quite a titan of the '80s. A song that I have to say I really like this song.
Yeah. And I was just really getting into the music thing when at age 16, 17, and was I had not been into the contemporary music that much.
Right.
And I just really, it hit me when in my teenage years, because I was always listening to the Beatles and stuff until that point.
Right.
And I remember, our friend Harold, he and I would watch MTV and Night Tracks and all this stuff endlessly. And we loved this video. We just were so entertained by it.
It was a happy, feel good, make you want to break out some overalls and dance in the street corner.
Kevin Rowland wrote it about a girl he dated when he was 13, and they stayed together for a couple of years, and so it explores that line between love and lust. But I was reading that American Songwriter magazine put it beautifully. It said, it articulates the youthful urge for separation from an older generation, hoping to indoctrinate these youngsters into their tired society.
Whoa.
And so it cited these lyrics, and you'll know these lyrics if you know this song. These people around here wear beaten down eyes, sunken, smoke-dried faces, so resigned to what their fate is. And then he promises Eileen in the song, not us, we are far too young and clever.
What a great line. We are far too young and clever.
And that's one of the great positive things about the song.
Man, I got cold chills.
I
must be impressionable, but I've heard it compared to Born to Run, like a British version of Born to Run. Like, we're going to break out of this kind of, sad fate that we're born into. Pretty interesting. But
comparison.
So in the video, we're going to be talking a lot about the video this evening, I believe, because it's just part and parcel of this whole phenomenon. But the real Eileen is pictured, and the real Kevin Rowland as a young man is pictured, and there's one picture where he's holding her up. They're probably like 10 years old, 9 or something, and he's holding up Eileen. It's the cutest darn thing you ever saw. Like, sort of a very innocent young love. And I think in a way, although these lyrics do tend towards, kind of they can get a bit risque at times, seeing that in the video kind of kept you on a light side, on a young, innocent side of this tale. So,
by the way,
you
mentioned that Eileen's in the video in that picture and that
so
short clip.
Yeah.
But the girl who played Eileen in the video,
the grown-up
actor, is Maya Fey, the sister to Siobhan Fay. He was in Bananarama.
So what's her name? The girl in the video?
Meyer Fahey.
Meyer Fahey.
And she was the sister to one of the girls in the Bananarama, which, our friend Harold loves Bananarama. That Cruel Summer song.
Well, you know, it's not a bad song. Bananarama
It's a bad song.
but they're so visually interesting, right? As a band, I think they made it a lot on their kind of carefree looks and fun looks.
And that goes back to what we're going to talk about with the video. Is that, you know, this? I mean, if you don't want to get there now, that's fine. But
no, we can.
you know, it's like, to me, part of what makes it a hit,
Okay.
is what we talked about, the video.
Yes.
And there were, you know,
Very much
we've
so.
talked about many songs on this show
Yes.
that owe to the video. You know,
Yes, we have.
Van Halen's Jump,
We are the
Stacey's Mom.
we're the MTV generation.
Yeah,
We can't unbake that from the cake, right?
exactly.
It's just part of it.
It's like yeast.
Right.
But what I think is important, and that I didn't realize at the time, was you've got these people that come out. You know, think about early MTV. It's Slick, it's Flock of Seagulls, it's Hall & Oates,
Spandau Ballet.
Spandau Ballet, all the hairdos and the slick suits and the, you know, and the cool and the keyboards and the synthesizers, and suddenly you've got these. They look like street urchins out of a Dickens novel,
Right.
with fiddles and all this crazy stuff that you've never heard. If you're 16 years old, you've never been to an Irish pub.
Not
You know,
at all.
and you're hearing this Irish pub music with this incredible hook, and you're watching these people, you know. And so I remember I wrote down a memory that I had when I was working at Ponderosa Steakhouse as a teenager.
Right.
I had a great friend named Todd Swearingen. Rest in peace, Todd. He died 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, crud. Yeah.
But he and I always talked about music. He was very tuned in. He was 2 years older than me and was a lot smarter than me. He's the first person that ever played me Abbey Road
Oh,
by the Beatles.
he did you a solid
He
there.
did me a solid.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I would go to work and we'd work together, and I'd say, "What do you think of this song?" He'd go, "Oh yeah." And I remember I said, "What do you think of the Greg Kihn Band?"
Right.
And he looked at me and he said, "Our love's in jeopardy, baby." And I said, "What do you think?" He said, "It's garbage."
Oh wow. but he could sing it. So yeah.
But so I mentioned
That's
this
so
video
funny.
to him. I said, "What do you think of
Yeah.
Dexys Midnight Runners?" He said, "They're scumbags."
Whoa.
He said they're scumbags.
What's that about? What did he mean?
That was just Todd.
Oh, it's so
But it's just
funny.
such a memory with this song and video.
He was handy with a pithy quote,
I
wasn't he?
I was just so defeated. I was just like, dang it, I can't find a single song that he likes that I like.
They're scumbags.
They're scumbags. So
Oh, man.
he saw that sort of homeless vibe, like
Yeah.
we're wearing our overalls with no shirt because we can't afford a shirt or shoes.
Yeah, they did look like Irish hobos.
They did.
Yeah.
Irish hobos.
But like adorable,
Their next band name.
adorable Irish
Right, they
hobos.
were. Yeah, there's one of the guys in the band who he's like snapping really hard as they're walking toward the end of the song.
Right.
And I just always thought that guy was like, he was just so invested in it.
Right.
You know, and if you
think
watch
it's
the
the
video,
drummer.
I watched. I think it is the drummer.
Yeah.
And I watched the video. I was like, that guy just made the video for me. I think Harold and I used to laugh about that all the time. Like,
It
look at
had
this
a
guy.
spirit.
Yeah. They
Kevin
were-
Rowland didn't appear to be goofing around.
Yeah.
He was delivering the goods. He felt it. I mean, if it's a true story about him and Eileen, I mean, it was from his heart, I believe.
Yeah.
And I feel like that sells a song. For something to go number one, you got to hit a lot of chords correctly, right? You know, not physical chords, but you know
They
what
were
I'm saying.
painstaking about making that song.
It,
You know, they
it
were
went through
painstaking.
three incarnations.
Yeah.
Right? So it started out as Yes Let's
Yeah.
was the name, an early incarnation of that song, which they played on stage apparently and everything. And then it became, what was it, James Van and Me? Or did you ever get that other title?
I don't think that I saw
It
that.
had to do
one.
with like James Brown, Van Morrison, and Kevin. You know, like sort of it was a,
Yeah.
you know, an homage to his influences.
Yeah.
Now Johnny Ray, poor
Right,
old Johnny Ray.
which is
He's the only survivor from all three incarnations, especially the James Van and Me version. But I love the way he starts out with Johnny Ray. So he sets a scene for their parents, you know, like when Johnny Ray ruled the airwaves, which he was kind of a crooner piano player.
sat up on the radio.
Yeah, pre rock and roll. And what he broke 1 million hearts in mono. Did you see that line, or it's something like that?
Yeah.
That is art.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway,
amazing lyric. Yeah.
So good. But then he goes to Eileen, describes Eileen a bit. Then he goes back, we can dance like our fathers, which I thought was a nice tie-in to our mothers sang along with Johnny Ray. Now, what percentage of the lyrics of this song would you say you knew before having to like look them up researching for this?
10%.
I'm going to say 10%. 10% is
Because his singing style it's not easy to understand. But what
It's
sold
wacky.
it to us was the catchphrases,
right.
the video, and the melody. And the
Yeah.
way that it differentiated from everything else we were seeing. Because you would see I Ran by Flacco Seagulls and then this.
Right.
It's like, this sounds so different than any other thing I've seen today.
Maybe so much more down to earth, organic instruments.
Organic, right.
Acoustic feel. And something tying back to maybe a simpler time before the bizarre MTV Thomas Dolby years. You know what I mean?
Thomas Dolby, wow, well done.
Maybe something
Well
that tied to a tradition of music that is old as time, right? So
Yeah.
I think that felt maybe like a little touchstone for us that we could, cling to a little bit. Maybe that's overstating it. But so I've got in my notes here that this song is in some way a tale of two Kevins. So do you have anything on that?
Well, there was a guy named Kevin Gibson,
No, not Kevin
who was
Gibson.
a saxophone player in the band.
Kevin Archer. Yeah.
No, that was the guitar player.
Was there really a Kevin?
There was a Kevin Gibson who was briefly in the band.
All right, so
That's, of course, my name. Yeah.
I should have in my notes a tale of three Kevins.
Yeah, three Kevins. Yeah.
Kevin Archer was in the original Dexys Midnight Runners, and he split off after their first album and after their #1 with the song Gino, and he made a demo tape for his new band, the Blue Ox Babes.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything about
Oh
this?
yeah, I read all about that.
So he plays the song What Does Anybody Ever Think About to Roland. You want to take this subject matter there?
Well, it's basically, he also gave him a demo tape.
He asked for the demo tape after he played it for him.
And then he basically stole the intro.
He
stole the style.
He kind of stole the whole style of the song. Maybe not the exact melody, but it's like
he stole
all the
the
building
idea.
blocks. The idea. It has the build, all the stuff.
And this gets me to the point that I wanted to make about Kevin Rowland was not a nice person, apparently.
Didn't seem to be.
So I grabbed some quotes and some things.
Okay, good. Good.
So, let's see. There were times when Roland would not talk to the media, which harkens to the knack, and so the media didn't like him that much.
They boycotted the media.
Yeah. And so they were like, but Archer said that in Mojo magazine in 2009, he said that Roland ruled the group with a rod of iron. He would not speak to any of us personally.
Oh man!
I mean, how are you in a band with that guy? It's almost as bad as being in a band with me.
Yeah, it is.
So he said he was irritable, treating everyone like they were nobody.
Wow.
And so when
Archer
finally quit,
Yeah.
Roland convinced him to teach the new guitar player the chords of the songs.
And he did it?
And he did it. I mean, why?
Kevin Rowland's like sort of a Manson-esque kind of figure, I think. Like he has some charisma with these people. Because I've heard that everybody that's left that band still wants to play with that band, somehow.
And that's a great point. And because I think that when he insisted that this style, this overalls and this street urchin look, he insisted it was original. It was not a gimmick.
Right.
And so Dave Rimmer of Smash Hits in '82 asked him about is it a gimmick or whatever, and Kevin Rowland barked at him and said, "I take deadly serious what I do. It's very important to me to be an individual. I don't care if people laugh. That's what Dexys Midnight Runners is all about. Showing your feelings and not giving a damn what other people think."
I love it.
That's what he said.
Stick to your guns.
But the rollover of the band was I mean, almost year by year.
But
This guy fires more people than George Steinbrenner. I mean,
he said he liked to start all over. He loved the challenge of just like breaking it all down.
And he would use you and then just say move on.
Discard.
No more use for you at all. Yeah.
But he changed the style of the band for every, like the dress, like, you know, of course the Too-rye-ay era is the you know, the overalls era, and then like before that though they were wearing like dock workers stuff, you know, during that first Searching for the Young Soul Rebels album, they were wearing like dock worker clothes. But that guy's a fashionista. Now he wears berets. He looks like a French, you know, like Salvador Dali type artist guy now.
Yeah.
But I think he's equally a monster and a driven kind of genius.
And that's why people would want to play with him. That's exactly why people would want to play with him. You know, he was not loved by his bandmates, but he could always find new bandmates.
Well, I guess that's...
You know what I mean? It's like if somebody gets fired from job after job, but there's some sort of charm there that keeps them getting jobs to get fired from.
Must be.
Except he was on doing the firing.
He just must have the it factor. I'm sure he's really hard to be around. Like that's the one thing you can gather from all this, that he was a hard guy to deal with. But you know, he's still on tour, like still making music.
I have a great quote from Vice. And the writer was named Kristen Yeonsu Kim.
Okay.
And she wrote a great piece about the band, and she said, despite the chummy appearance and jolly pop hooks, Kevin Rowan and his bandmates were actually pretty badass. And I'm not going to say the F word. I'm going to change the F word.
Sure.
And gave nary a flick about anything. To be fair, though, you kind of can't give a flick when you're grown-ass men running around in dungarees.
Well, nice.
What a beautiful piece of writing. I want to find more of her work.
Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But, you know, speaking of the turnover of the band, I've got a thing here where it says that the horn section quit at one point because they didn't want to play second fiddle to the fiddles.
Fiddles, yeah. I saw that.
So I think one thing we figured out by researching this, and I never knew how far down the rabbit hole we were going to go with Dexys Midnight Runners. It was just insane twists and turns. But one thing we definitely figured out is that they're a one-hit wonder in the United States, but they're not seen that way in Britain at all.
No, because they had a #1 hit in Britain before they were...
And a career there.
And a full career, yeah. Kind of like a-ha.
Much like
a-ha is talked about as one of the best one-hit wonders, and then they've had a long career.
Well, that kind of brings up the next kind of point here, which is the greatest one-hit wonders of all time. Now, this song obviously ranks in that list.
In most, yeah. In most minds, it does. What's interesting to me is like, if someone just walked up to you on the street and said, what are the 10 best one-hit wonders of all time? Go. Would you think of this one?
I think I would think of this one. I'm not sure, though. Like, I'm really bad under pressure like that.
Yeah. I feel like that it would at least make my top 20 if I had to sit down.
Really?
Without any research.
Yeah.
It might crack my top 10 just for the uniqueness of it.
Well, does something like rise in your mind to #1 like almost instantly?
So here's my point about this.
Okay.
It's all subjective.
True.
And I've got a little bit of just amateur research to back this up. But it's all subjective. You know, to me, like, some people will say, "Want My Sharona," which I love the knack. Everyone who listens to this show knows that.
Yep.
Some people say My Sharona is
fantastic
that.
song. Yeah.
But guess what? They had other top 40 hits.
Right.
So it wasn't a one-hit wonder.
Not unlike the Romantics, which have
correct.
That's what I like
they
about
were not,
you.
They had two.
They came back with "Talking in Your Sleep."
They had two top 40 hits, and one of them, and neither one of them was "What I Like About You."
Oh, well,
that hit 43, I think. And so this is though it is the only top 40 hit Dexys Midnight Runners had in America. To me, that's got to be sort of part of the equation. So you've got to enter into the conversation.
We have this brief snapshot of that band. We got one peek at them.
Yep.
That video.
Much like Tommy Two-Tone.
Oh, much
you
like
know, I know you love that song, Jenny.
Yeah.
You would put that in your top 5 probably.
Well, yeah, 8675309. Like, try to get that out of your head.
I'm not sure that I would. You know,
right.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
is
I certainly
it's
would.
so subjective, but it's to me it's open for a debate. And like, if someone puts this as their number one hit wonder ever, I'm cool with that.
Right.
Because of what we've talked about here, the history, the story, you know, the way it evolved, and I mean, I'm 100% okay with that.
Right.
So it was accomplished, it was unique, you know,
well
for its
delivered.
time,
Sure.
well delivered. The video is great. That's a big part of it.
Captivating.
You know, we talked about this when we did Van Halen's Jump. Was that the best Van Halen song? No.
That's 3.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it had a package around it that worked. They had the popularity. They had this was a different sort of thing, but it still had that same sort of panache.
This was sort of a wonderful marketing plan if you want to break it down into like a cold business sense.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and read the Rolling Stone top 10 of all time?
Rolling Stone published their top 10 one-hit wonders of all time, which is just good fodder for us kind of like riffing off whether we think this kind of seems, you know, legitimate. I mean, Rolling Stone obviously takes these things fairly serious, and their top one-hit wonders of all time are number 10, The Vapors, Turning Japanese, which was a great song.
Yeah.
Question
That's an
mark.
interesting song.
Yeah.
Is it really a great song?
No. It's a gimmick song.
It's a gimmick song.
Right. Question mark and the Mysterians, 96 Tears, pretty good song.
Pretty good song.
Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping, number 8.
Hate that song.
I Get Knocked Down, I Get Up Again.
But it's catchy as heck.
Very catchy.
I don't like it at all, never did.
Very catchy.
But I would never put it inside my top 5 million.
Right. It kind of has that sort of cadence of like almost like a cheer or a chant.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder why
gang vocals.
Hey Ricky, You're So Fine isn't on this list. I don't know. That's
Mickey.
Mickey. Yeah. That's probably why. Number 7, Blind Melon, lead singer out of Indiana. No Rain.
Yeah.
That had the little bee girl in the video.
Yeah.
Pretty good song, you know, kind of.
But it just seems, it doesn't seem right for this list.
It doesn't. It's almost richer than a one hit.
Right, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Isn't that funny?
It deserves to be on a different list, a better list.
Number 6, The Knack, My Sharona, which we think might be erroneously titled as a one hit. Right. But if it was.
It was so big, that's why people think of it that way, because their other Knack hits were not nearly as big.
They just outpaced their other songs so
They never lived up to that first single, you know, so.
Boy, what a single. Number 5, Soft Cell, Tainted Love. Good song. Fits the category nicely, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ubiquitous. It's always around still.
Yeah, and yeah, it's become like.
You hear it all the time.
One of those songs I call top 40 for the whole 80s, you know, that kind of song. Big Country in a Big Country.
See, to me, when's the last time you heard that anywhere played?
I'm not feeling that.
I'm against that. When I saw that, I was like, what are they thinking about?
I have no idea.
I can think of 50 other songs that, you know.
Right. Number 3, Norman Greenbaum. Famously is now a chicken farmer, I believe, and the song.
I like chicken.
The song "Spirit in the Sky,"
legs.
which is a pretty big song. "Spirit in the Sky." What was this? What?
So it tastes like frog legs.
That is gold. You just turned it on its head. "Spirit in the Sky," you know, pretty good one-hit wonder.
I mean, that still gets played. I still hear that sometimes.
Oh, totally. It's kind of always going to be around.
Yeah. So I mean, it deserves mention for sure. Is it number 3? I wouldn't put it there. Again, it's subjective.
Right. Now, here's where the list gets controversial.
Yeah.
Number 2.
I'm angry just looking at it.
Dexys Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen, which I'm going to say should be number 1.
Wow.
Because in America, it fits everything. You can't argue they had another hit in America or even another song in America, right?
Right.
You can't
Their
argue.
follow-up single, I think, hit like 80 something.
Did it?
84. I
Oh,
think,
so
yeah.
it was hovering around somewhere. But can't deny everyone and their mom can sing the chorus of this song, right?
Yeah.
It's just such a huge smash hit. So anyway, and Rolling Stone gives the nod to Aha with Take On Me as number 1, which I don't know. I'm not feeling that either.
See, to me, it has the same thing. They had a huge following in Europe, and they only had that one song in America that was ever a hit.
Super well done video.
But who doesn't know that video and that song, though?
True.
Who can't sing that? It's almost the same thing.
True.
Same interesting story that no one knows. We'll probably end up doing that on one of these shows one of these
Certainly,
days.
yeah.
You know, so it's really, again, it's subjective. Which one is more memorable? Which one is the better one? You know, I mean, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking of both courses at the same time right now. Because I am.
Apologies to podcast.
Once you
everywhere.
sleep, you'll get out of your head. But
Maybe. But
for
I
the
feel
rest
like
of your
Dexys
day.
Midnight Runners maybe is going to last another millennia, you know? So,
Yeah.
who knows? Fantastic song. All right, what do you got in terms
So
of, yeah.
to follow up on that, American Songwriter Magazine sort of posted a little article about this. They posed the question, is it the greatest one-hit wonder ever? They did not answer the question. They just posed the question for the sake of, and you know, and I get that. That's about shares. So Best
Sure.
Life Magazine posted their top 100 of all time. This was at 25.
Oh, what? Oh.
So a lot of hits from the 50s and 60s crawl into these bigger lists.
Oh.
See, Rolling Stones list is more tailored toward the modern audience, I think.
Sure.
VH1 posted their top 100. It was number 3.
Woo.
So that's a pretty strong
A video
supporting
leaning
argument.
channel.
Video leaning.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Right.
Insider.com had it at 57. I'm sorry, they posted their 57 of all time. I don't know why 57, but they did not number them.
It's an odd thing to
But it was
cut
in there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was in there. And then Top 40 Weekly has it as their number 62 of all time of 100, top
I
100.
just can't imagine the 61 songs that precede it. But if I read
A lot of them were older
songs.
songs, you know, like I said, that a lot of some of these, that's why it's subjective. That's why I said that, because that's what convinced me that there's no good definitive answer.
Right.
Because different news outlets are looking at it in different ways, just like people who are listening to this episode right now are going, what are they talking about? How's that even in the conversation? You know,
Maybe.
So, I mean,
I would like to say, you know, the legitimate list for now is what's the top, you know, one-hit wonder of all time for right now. Like what has survived maybe in movies. You know, my daughter Olivia knows this song from Perks of Being a Wallflower movie. And it's featured in a scene where a kid that, you know, needs to come out of his shell, you know, only by that song being played at their prom can he, you know, kind of get out on the dance floor. And this is like reputed to be a huge dance floor filler everywhere, which I agree it probably is, you know. But I've enjoyed it all these years without really knowing the lyrics and just feeling the sentiment of it, and kind of like the, you know, the Too-rye-ay just feels so fun and so, you know,
happy,
simple and happy. Yeah, I never really got into this, what subtext might be in this song. Just sort of like, it felt like, come on, Eileen, take my hand. You know, let's run off, you know.
It's time to start wrapping things up. By the way, I forgot to say that we are drinking our rye whiskey out of the Fred Minnick Show Glen Cairn glasses. So
Right.
Fred, it's a good friend of mine. He gifted me these glasses. I told him that I wanted to use them for purposes that would promote his show, and If you know anything about whiskey at all, you know who Fred Minnick is.
So where does this song stand in your heart after it's, however many years old now?
It's just one that is never. There are a lot of one-hit wonders that I forget about that I hear them occasionally. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a hit, huh? But this is one that I'm like, it's so obvious why it was a hit because of the time. Again, it popped on MTV in a time when everything sounded the same. Everything was synthesized and produced the same way. And this was so organic, as you said. It had instruments we weren't used to hearing, had production we weren't used to hearing. It was like listening to an Irish bar song, an Irish pub song.
It was kind of behind its time and ahead of its time at the same time, because later on, you got like Mellencamp coming out with Lonesome Jubilee and things like that, where they started. Acoustic instruments became a big thing later.
This probably influenced that.
I would very much say so.
I mean, no offense to Mellencamp, I like him, but he was never that original. I'm sorry, to me he wasn't. I mean, I like Mellencamp, but
those are fighting words, man. We're gonna have to hash out. We're gonna do Jack and Diane at some point during this season, I believe.
Now there is a lasting hit.
That is a lasting hit,
which we call, the "Sucking on a Chili Dog" song.
Oh, well, there you
thanks
go.
to Clownvis Presley. Yeah. Look up Clownvis Presley. Maybe I'll put this in the show notes too.
Be forewarned, that might disturb you. It's not for sensitive,
but in a good way.
But in a good way. But anyway, I'm glad that this song existed. It really encapsulated a time when MTV ruled the earth, and it was it was just a feel good song.
If nothing else is nostalgic, but it's still a good song.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we really appreciate you tuning in. Please subscribe to the podcast and recommend it to a friend. Share it on your social medias. And we'll be back next week with maybe a guest from Japan.
Yeah,
or
maybe not next week. It might take 2 weeks, but we've got a guest from Japan that we're gonna Skype in, and we're hoping to talk about Michael Nesmith. So
yeah, one of the monkeys. Also something with more beneath the surface than you would at first suspect.
And Kirk actually has had personal interaction with Michael, so that's why we're bringing him in, because he's kind of a Michael Nesmith expert.
All right, yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, cheers.
And a great musician. All right, to Fred Minnick, again. To Dexys Midnight Runners, no apostrophe.
I'm out of whiskey, but I'll still choose you.
Good enough.
See you next time, everybody.